Welcome back to Edzy, your personal AI tutor. Today we are revising Class 8 English, CBSE Class 8, and the chapter Wisdom Paves the Way from Poorvi. I am Gaurav and with me is Swati. Keep a notebook nearby if you have one, but passive listening is also perfectly fine. We will follow the journey to Ujjain, decode every camel clue, discuss wisdom and judgment, revise vocabulary and grammar, and practice exam-style questions. We will make the reasoning behind each conclusion clear so you can explain your answers confidently.
I like that example because it shows our aim. We are not merely collecting answers. We are asking what was observed, what was inferred, and why the inference was reasonable. So, while listening, keep one question in mind. How can knowledge become wisdom when it is used carefully? I will keep checking your understanding, and Gaurav will help us frame precise answers.
Let us begin with the chapter's most important distinction. Knowledge is the accumulation of facts and information. Wisdom is the use of that knowledge with good judgment. The difference is not that knowledge is unimportant. Rather, knowledge becomes valuable when a person applies it thoughtfully in a real situation. The four young men demonstrate exactly this difference.
Let us test that distinction. Ria understands plant care and uses it to grow a healthy vegetable garden. Is that only knowledge, or is there an application of knowledge as well? Think before answering. The chapter's activity asks you to classify such situations, so do not rush simply because a statement contains information.
The expected classification is knowledge because the statement mainly highlights Ria's understanding of plant care. In contrast, Rohan understands the value of time management and creates a timetable to complete assignments systematically. That is wisdom because an idea has been converted into a sensible action. The same reasoning helps us understand the chapter title.
Here is another check. Mr. Kumar values time with family over chasing wealth, and Ramesh chooses to forgive a friend after a misunderstanding. These examples show judgment and values in action. The chapter also invites us to think about why families often seek advice from elderly people. A good answer could mention experience, thoughtful judgment, and learning from situations already faced.
Exam point. If you are asked to distinguish knowledge and wisdom, write both definitions and then support them with a clear example. Do not write only that wisdom means being intelligent. Intelligence and wisdom are related, but the chapter stresses the effective and responsible application of knowledge.
Now let us enter scene 1. Four young men, Ram Dutt, Shiv Dutt, Har Dutt, and Dev Dutt, are walking along a dusty road towards Ujjain. They have left their village in search of work. The road, the hot midday setting, and their travel worn appearance immediately suggest effort, uncertainty, and perseverance.
The men have traveled for 10 days. Ram Datta says that every day feels longer than the last, which reveals the strain of the journey. Yet Dev Dutt does not surrender to discouragement. He says that 10 days are a short span in the larger scheme of things, and that they may have more roads to travel before finding suitable employment.
What do we learn from their conversation? They are hopeful, determined, and united. Ram Dutt believes the king may recognize their talents. Shiv Dutt shares that belief, while Dev Dutt emphasizes unity. Har Dutt is more cautious and says they need to devise a strategy before approaching the king. Which quality does Har Dutt show here?
Har Dutt shows that he is thoughtful and practical. He does not reject their hope, but he recognizes that gaining an audience with the king will not be simple. This is a useful character inference. A character's qualities are often revealed through words and decisions, not through a direct label supplied by the narrator.
Let us clarify two phrases. To secure an audience with the king means to obtain an opportunity to meet or be heard by him. To press on towards Ujjain means to continue moving forward with determination. It does not mean walking with heavy steps. In an answer, connect the phrase with their hope of finding work and being recognized.
As they walk, Shiv Dutt notices fresh camel tracks on the road. Ram Dutt suggests that the tracks may tell them more than meets the eye. This sentence acts as a small warning to the reader. The visible marks contain information, but only careful observation and reasoning can reveal it.
Here is the key method of the chapter. First, the men observe physical evidence. Next, they connect that evidence with what they already know. Finally, they make a deduction. Deduction means reaching a conclusion through reasoning. This three-step pattern is more important than simply memorizing which man noticed which detail.
Ramdutt studies the tracks and notices that 3 feet have left distinct impressions, while one impression is faint. From this uneven pattern, he concludes that the camel is lame in one leg. The weak impression suggests that the animal is not placing its weight normally on that leg. His conclusion is based on the tracks, not on guesswork.
If 3 feet make clear impressions and one makes a faint impression, what exactly is the evidence? And what is the conclusion? The evidence is the different strength of the footprints. The conclusion is that the camel has a limp. In a long answer, always separate observation from inference.
Shivdutt notices that the camel has nibbled foliage on the left side of the road, while the leaves on the right remain untouched. He infers that the camel is blind in its right eye. The reasoning is that it could see and reach the plants on the left, but could not notice the plants on the right.
A common mistake is to reverse the sides. The untouched foliage is on the right, and that leads to the conclusion that the right eye is blind. Students sometimes remember only the word blind and forget the direction. For exam point of view, retain the complete chain. Left side foliage eaten, right side foliage untouched, right eye blind.
Hardutt notices small drops of blood along the track. The story connects these marks with mosquito bites. He reasons that a camel with a long tail could have fended off the mosquitoes. Since the bites remained, he infers that the camel has a short tail and cannot easily brush the pests away.
Notice how indirect this clue is. Hardutt does not see the tail. He sees the result of mosquito bites and connects it with the camel's ability to defend itself. This is why the king praises both observation and deduction. The men look beyond what is immediately visible.
Devdutt makes the most detailed observation. The camel's forefoot prints are deep and clear, while the print of the healthy hindfoot is faint. He infers that the camel is drawing up its hind legs and moving carefully because of discomfort. The story links this discomfort with pain in the stomach.
Let us be precise here. Devdutt's evidence is a pattern of the forefoot and hindfoot prints. His conclusion is that the camel is moving cautiously and sparing itself pain. The merchant later confirms that the camel has been unwell for 2 weeks. Do not say that Devdutt physically examined the animal because he never saw it.
We have now covered the first major idea: 4 observations, 4 deductions. Ramdutt identifies lameness from the tracks. Shivdutt identifies blindness in the right eye from untouched foliage. Hardutt identifies the short tail from blood droplets and mosquito bites. Devdutt identifies pain from the careful movement shown by the footprints.
Quick recall challenge. I will name the clue and you name the young man. Faint impression of one foot. Untouched foliage on the right. Blood droplets from mosquito bites. Faint print of the healthy hindfoot. Say the 4 names aloud in order. This little retrieval exercise is more useful than rereading the list passively.
At this point, a distressed merchant approaches the group. He is running in haste because his camel has gone astray. The young men infer even this from his appearance and urgency. They greet him politely, and he asks whether they have seen his missing camel.
The conversation becomes surprising. Ramdutt asks whether the camel is lame. Shivdutt asks about the right eye. Hardutt asks about the short tail. Devdutt asks about stomach pain. Each question is confirmed by the merchant. What would you think if you were in the merchant's place?
The merchant is astonished because the men describe the camel accurately while claiming they have never seen it. He even assumes that Devdutt must be a healer when he hears about the illness. This reaction is understandable, but the merchant makes an unjustified leap from surprise to accusation.
Exactly. He could have asked how they knew these details. Instead, he calls them deceivers and suspects that they stole the camel and sold it. This tells us that he is distressed, suspicious, and quick to judge. The text does not present him as permanently evil. It shows how fear and confusion can lead to a wrong accusation.
The 4 young men remain calm. Ramdutt and Shivdutt clearly state that they have not seen the camel. Devdutt says that the merchant may take the matter to the king, and that they will wait under the banyan tree if the king wants them. Their confidence comes from knowing that their evidence is honest.
The merchant does not trust them and insists that they come to the king. The men agree without creating a quarrel. That response matters. They do not run away, invent a story, or insult the merchant. Their calm behavior supports the idea that wisdom includes good judgment and responsible conduct, not just clever deductions.
Vocabulary check. Distressed means very worried or troubled. Astray means away from the correct path. Indignant means angry because one feels unfairly treated. Yonder means over there. If you use these words in answers, use them according to the situation rather than replacing them with unrelated synonyms.
A useful reason based question asks why Devdutt says they will wait under the banyan tree. The answer is that they are not afraid of facing the king because they are innocent and confident that their observations can be explained. A second question may ask why the merchant takes them along. He suspects them and does not want them to escape.
We are entering scene 2, the king's court. The setting changes from a dusty road to a grand hall with tapestries, tall pillars, draperies, and a golden canopy. The king sits on his throne, while the merchant and a sentry present the grievance. The king asks for a clear accusation and refuses confusion in his court.
The merchant repeats his argument. The men know every detail of the camel, yet they say they never saw it, so they must be thieves. The king does not accept this claim immediately. Instead, he asks the young men to explain their reasoning one by one. That is an important model of fair judgment.
First, Ramdutt explains the faint fourth footprint. He says that only 3 feet left distinct impressions, which indicated that the fourth leg was not bearing weight normally. The king recognizes his sharp observation. In a written response, mention both the evidence and the conclusion, then connect the conclusion to the camel's limp.
Second, Shiv Dutt explains that the camel nibbled only the foliage on the left. The right side leaves remained undisturbed, as if the animal could not see them. Therefore, he deduced blindness in the right eye. The king calls this well reasoned because a casual traveler might walk past without noticing the difference in the vegetation.
Third, Har Dutt explains the blood droplets. The story connects them with mosquito bites. A long-tailed camel would have fended off the mosquitoes, but the bites remain visible. Therefore, Har Dutt concluded that the camel had a short tail. The king is impressed by the insight behind this indirect observation.
Fourth, Devdutt compares the prints. The 4 feet leave deep and clear marks, but the print of the sound hind foot is faint. He understands that the camel is drawing up its hind legs to reduce discomfort. The king is especially amazed that the men know the animal in such detail without having actually seen it.
The king then dismisses the merchant's accusation as baseless and misguided. He tells the merchant to continue searching for the camel and to be careful about accusing people in the future. This response shows that the king values evidence, listens before deciding, and protects innocent people from an unfair charge.
The merchant leaves chastened and embarrassed. Chastened means that he feels sorry or humbled after realizing his mistake. His reaction completes the misunderstanding. He is not punished harshly, but the king makes him understand that suspicion without proof can harm innocent people. That is a useful value-based point for a short answer.
The king now turns from the accusation to the opportunity. He says that the 4 men have demonstrated remarkable intelligence and the ability to see beyond the obvious. He offers them the honor of becoming his advisors. Their journey in search of ordinary employment leads to an unexpected position based on wisdom and judgment.
The men accept with humility. Ramdutt calls the offer an honor they had not dared to dream of. Shiv Dutt expresses gratitude. Har Dutt accepts service to a wise and just ruler as a privilege. Devdutt promises to dedicate himself to the king's service and offer counsel. Their responses show respect, gratitude, and responsibility.
The king declares that 4 new advisors will stand beside him. He hopes their wisdom will shine upon Ujjain and guide the kingdom to prosperity. The court applauds, and the 4 men stand proud but humbled. The ending is satisfying because their difficult journey is fulfilled in a way they never expected.
Let us arrange the court events mentally. The king asks the merchant to state his accusation. The merchant accuses the four men. Ramdat explains the lame leg. Shivdat explains the blind right eye. Hardat explains the short tail. Devdat explains the pain. The king rejects the accusation and appoints the men as advisors.
Let us examine Ramdatta. He is observant and confident. He hopes that the king will recognize the talents, but his confidence is not empty boasting. He supports it through careful examination of the tracks. In a character answer, describe his confidence along with the specific deduction he makes.
Shivdat is also observant and supportive. He shares Ramdat's belief in their abilities and notices the fresh tracks and the untouched foliage. His deduction about the right eye shows attention to small differences. A strong answer should not simply call him intelligent. It should explain the evidence that demonstrates his intelligence.
Hardat appears thoughtful and cautious. He asks how long the journey has lasted, suggests that they devise a strategy, and notices the blood droplets. He does not rush into action. His character combines planning with observation. This makes him a good example of how wisdom may involve patience before making a decision.
Devdutt is hopeful, calm, and reflective. He encourages unity and says that 10 days are short in the larger scheme of things. His deduction about the camel's pain is especially detailed. Later, he calmly agrees to face the king. These actions show both reasoning ability and confidence in truth.
The merchant is distressed because he has lost a valuable animal. His worry makes him suspicious, and his suspicion leads him to accuse the young man without proof. Later, he feels ashamed. So, the character can be discussed with balance. He is anxious and hasty in judgment, but the story also shows that he recognizes his mistake.
The king represents fairness, intelligence, and good judgment. He hears the grievance, asks for a clear accusation, questions the young men, and evaluates their explanations. He does not decide merely because the merchant speaks first. His decision to appoint the men as advisors shows that he recognizes talent and values useful counsel.
The central theme is the difference between knowledge and wisdom. The men possess knowledge of tracks, plants, animal movement, and practical science. They use this knowledge with careful judgment, so it comes wisdom. Other themes include observation, insight, perseverance, fairness, responsibility, and the importance of using ability for the benefit of others.
Why does the title say that wisdom paves the way? The four men begin with uncertainty and no employment. Their wisdom helps them solve a difficult misunderstanding, earn the king's respect, and receive a meaningful opportunity. The title therefore connects wisdom with progress, respect, and success. It does not suggest that success comes without effort.
A helpful exam frame for the theme is this. The story shows that knowledge alone is not enough. The four young men observe evidence, reason from it, and use their conclusions responsibly. Their wisdom is recognized by the king, while the merchant's unsupported suspicion is rejected. End by connecting the lesson to thoughtful decision making in real life.
We have completed the plot and character discussion. This is a good moment for a study action. After each section, ask yourself one question instead of rereading everything. Edzy can help you turn this chapter into an active recall session where you explain a clue, test yourself, and then check your reasoning. Now let us sharpen the language from the chapter.
Adorned means beautified or decorated. Resolute means determined. Tapestries are heavy decorative fabrics woven with pictures or patterns. Bustling means busy. Eludes means remains difficult to obtain. Devise means to think of a plan. And deliberate means to think carefully before deciding.
The court vocabulary is also important. Draperies are long, thick curtains. A canopy is a decorative cover over a seat. A grievance is a complaint, and an accusation is a claim that someone has done something wrong. Deduce means determine by reasoning, while discern means notice or understand something clearly.
Insight means a clear or deep understanding. Fended off means guarded against. Sound can mean healthy in the description of the hind foot. Intimately means in a detailed way. Flawless means perfect. Counsel means advice. And beacon means a guiding light. Chastened describes someone who feels sorry or humbled after a mistake.
Now recall expressions. To be precise means to be exact. To gain an audience with someone means to obtain a meeting or hearing. To catch one's breath means to rest briefly. Taken aback means surprised. With all our hearts means with complete sincerity. More than meets the eye refers to hidden information that is not immediately obvious.
The chapter also practices noun forms. The noun of deduce is deduction. The noun of observe is observation. Scrutinize becomes scrutiny. Accuse becomes accusation. And recognize becomes recognition. Be careful with spelling, especially scrutiny and recognition. These forms may appear in fill in the blank or word formation questions.
The lesson uses the words face and bear with different meanings. Face can be a noun meaning the front of a person's head or a verb meaning to deal with a difficult situation. Bear can mean tolerate, accept, or produce fruit. And it can also be a noun naming a large, heavy mammal. Always use the surrounding sentence to identify the meaning.
Modal verbs express different functions in the chapter. May and might express possibility or hope. Can expresses ability. Must and need to express necessity or obligation. Should expresses advice. Could may express ability or a weaker possibility. Would can express a predicted or imagined result, as in the camel using its tail to fend off mosquitoes.
Try this mentally. If the sentence means it is advisable to think before speaking, which modal fits? Should. If it means a person is able to become wise through effort, can fits. If it means something's necessary, must, or need to may fit depending on the sentence. The key is to identify the function before choosing the word.
The chapter also highlights how stress changes meaning in spoken English. Stressing different words in a sentence can show contrast or correction. For example, stressing look can contrast it with another action, while stressing there can contrast one place with another. In an examination answer, describe this as sentence stress changing the focus of meaning.
Let us practice a common inference question. What does the dusty road leading to Ujjain tell us about the young men's journey? Build your answer in three parts. The road shows physical difficulty. The long travel suggests tiredness and uncertainty, and their continued movement shows determination and hope.
Another question asks why the king believes the young men rather than the merchant. A precise answer is that the men give logical explanations based on physical evidence, while the merchant offers suspicion without proof. The king listens to both sides and reaches a decision through judgment. Include the words evidence, reasoning, and fair judgment.
Why do the observations become the turning point of the play? Before the encounter, the men are simply travelers looking for work. Their observations create the misunderstanding, but they also provide the evidence that clears them. Finally, the same abilities attract the king's attention and change their future. That complete cause and effect chain makes the answer strong.
For a character question on the merchant, do not write that he is only foolish. Explain that he is worried about his missing camel, becomes suspicious when the men describe it, accuses them without evidence, and later feels ashamed. For the king, use fair, attentive, wise, and appreciative, and support each quality with an action from the court scene.
Final active recall round. Who noticed the fresh tracks? What did the faint fourth impression show? Which side of the road had untouched foliage? Why did blood droplets suggest a short tail? What did the different hind foot marks suggest? Who offered the men positions? And what larger idea did the offer prove?
The answers are Ramdat, lameness, the right side a short tail, pain and careful movement, and the king. The larger idea is that wisdom is knowledge applied with good judgment. Remember the complete sequence: journey, observation, accusation, explanation, recognition, and responsibility. We are entering the final section now, so keep those 6 steps together.
Let us close with one small challenge. In your notebook, write a 6-line summary of Wisdom Paves the Way, giving one line for the journey, 1 for the merchant's accusation, 4 for the 4 deductions, and 1 final sentence on the theme. The common mistake to avoid is listing conclusions without explaining their evidence. After writing, test yourself once more or ask Edzy to question you Socratically on the chapter. You have revised the plot, reasoning, characters, vocabulary, grammar, themes, and exam answer frames. Keep observing carefully, thinking before judging, and using knowledge responsibly. Thank you for studying with us, and we will meet again in the next revision session.